Welcome back to Boomer's Playground, and today we'll be going over coding exercise 38 of the Colt Steele Web Developer Bootcamp. And this is when it gets kind of fun or kind of interesting because now we're starting to create functions that you would create in the real world. Not that the previous ones weren't real functions, but all we did with those was console log or print to the console. That's not super helpful in the real world. The biggest, I mean, you will use console log a lot, but it'll be in troubleshooting. It won't be to provide your user with any information. So imagine you manage a target, you're a store manager. You don't develop, you're just, a store manager. And you get home and you just need to laugh. So you're like, all right, I'm gonna get on Netflix and I'm gonna find Happy Gilmore. So you get on Netflix, you click the little search icon, you search Happy Gilmore, and let's say that developer, all he did was print the result. Well, you don't know that. It's not obvious to you. You might not even be on a computer. You might be on your iPad, your phone, a TV, Apple TV, a Fire Stick, a Roku. You could be on any number of things that you don't have access to the console. And in reality, most people would never assume to look there or even know what it is. So this is where the return keyword comes into play. And so you guys did just watch a video on it. But let's start basic like always, and let's see what we need to do. So we need to practice returning values, which is fine. So we're going to write a function named multiply, right? Function named multiply, and then it's going to accept two numeric arguments. So two numeric params or arguments. And we want to return the product, which the product is just the multiplication between the two. So this is this is a really big one, right? This is where you realize what you should be doing with functions, and I'm actually going to do it over here just to kind of show what I'm talking about. So all right, so here we have our steps. Let's go old school first, ES5, and we'll do multiply. And we got that. And then we're going to take num1 and num2. Again, these can be named whatever as long as the names match in our function. And then all we want to do is return num1. And so this will work, but let's do, what we're doing before. We were always console logging, right? So let's do that first. Let's make sure that this is doing what we expect it to. And again, remember, we're creating it here, but that's not running the code. We actually have to call the function for it to run. So we'll do 6 and 2. It's 12, pretty basic. That way we know if we're right or not. And we get 12. Awesome. But again, this isn't helpful to the end user. I don't want to be doing something just in the console. The console is mainly for us developers. So, okay, well, whatever. It wants us to return, so let's return. So we'll do num1 times num2. We'll save that, and let's see what we get. Okay, so all we did was change the return, but we're not getting any output here. And the point of this is we're returning it, but what are we returning it to? So we're calling this, it comes in here, 6 is num1, num2 is 2, and then we're returning that multiplication, but we're not returning it to anything. So it doesn't really have anywhere to go. It just kind of goes into the air and we forget about it. So a lot of times this is more realistic because I will come to you and I will say, hey, I need, let's say we're doing an invoicing system and I have all of your contacts from your phone. Now, a contact in a phone can have many, many, many things, right? Pictures, names, addresses, multiple phones, work phone, home phone, mobile phone. And so I may come to you and say, hey, I'm going to give you an array of objects, and I need you to just get out the name, the number, and the address. And so you'll write a function, and you're going to return that new list with just that information that I want. So what ends up happening is you call me or you message me or you Slack me, you say, hey, Boomer, I built that function, I push it up on this branch, test it, make sure it does what you want it to do. I'm like, all right, cool, man, appreciate it. What's the function name? Multiply. Awesome. So I'm going to do new num, and I call your function that you created where you're taking my two numbers and you're multiplying them and giving them back to me, which is why I need this right here, because you're returning it, you're giving it back to whatever I've set on the left side. So that's fine. And then we can verify this by calling new num. And you'll see we get 12 as we expect. Okay, so that's kind of neat. So returning is just doing something and then giving the new value or whatever you asked for back traditionally to a variable. Now, this is all fine and dandy. You can also do this if you don't have a console.log in your function, is you can literally just call the function in a console.log. And then what we'll see is it will log the return, which is still 12. Or if we wanted to, just to show that it'll be 14. And we get 14. So so that's why returning is really, really important when it comes to functions. So another thing that some people might do, and this is perfectly fine, is maybe you create a new multiplied number, and we can do num1 times num2, and then we can return this new multiplied num, and we still should get 12, because again, we have 6 and 2, again, not 7 like I changed it to. And, oh, but we don't know because we're not console logging anything, so let's console log new num. And we get 12. And let's make sure if we change it to 5, we get 10. And if we change it to 10, we get 20. So this is why returning is so important, because you're actually giving something back to the developer, right? So I can now do stuff with this. And this is probably tough to really like see the big picture of, but this is something that you will do all day, every day. So we can even do it in the new ES6 arrow function. Again, we could do a new variable up there, but if it's really just doing like one thing like this, just return the math. You do something like this when you need that number to do other stuff in the function, which we don't. But again, realistically, neither one is wrong. So let's come back over here. We got those guys. Let's comment you out. Make sure it runs. And it passes, so perfect. And here. And we see that both of them pass. So these are two different ways to write functions, as I've been doing this entire time. But returning is a very, very important part of programming. So essentially all returning is doing is you're giving something back. So like in here, we have a bunch of things, we're doing a bunch of math, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, we're just returning one final number. So that's the point of a function, is if you're going to be doing the same thing a lot, you want to turn it into a function and you return that value. And these next couple will go more into it. So I'm not going to spend more time on this one because we will go into the stuff with 39 through 43. So hope you guys learned something today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in exercise 39.